Can I choose? How many? Now this, I don't know how to answer this simple question. Will we, there's a pranam, will we get the opportunity to visit Kailash Manasarovar with you? In this lifetime. In brackets, in this lifetime. As if somebody is fed up for it. I can't tell you, really. Because these things happen like that. And now, the last Kailash Yatra, I went with some people. There were 75 people. Okay? Because the man who was arranging this said, I cannot take more than 75 in one group. Today, if I notify that I am going to Kailash, who wants to come? What will I do? I'll have to find someone who can really, or we have to go in batches. Now what happens? I can't go at every batch and come back. So, there are practical difficulties. Let's see, definitely, if I can, I will certainly take you all and go at some point. Or what I can do is sit in Manasarovar, you'll all go, come back, come. Then go out together to Kathmandu and out. No, now we have another route from Pitroghat. Road, I haven't been, so I don't know. I can easily find out. There are people there who know. So, yeah, so I'm not giving you a firm promise, but it's not that I don't want to go. Now this question is, how can you know if you have touched that unknown to us? I don't know what that to us means. Yet dimension. How can you know if you have touched that unknown to us, yet dimension or another dimension? What does it mean? Anyway, person who wrote it might know. Everybody wants to keep it secret, no signature. How can you know if you have touched the ultimate unknown, which simply means unknown to the five senses and the conditioned mind. That's what unknown here means. But it's not unknown. It's something which is known when there is nothing more to be known. Once you touch that, it's like someone whose thirst has been permanently quenched. Then you know you have reached it. You know, there's a thirst, there's a desire, everything is quenched forever. Then you know, I found it. Second question. How many ladies are here? Why don't we see many lady enlightened beings? Are you sure there aren't many lady enlightened beings? There are many here, I think. How are you so sure that there are no lady enlightened beings? It's probably that the lady enlightened beings keep quiet and don't advertise. Maybe. But if you look back from ancient times, there have been very many great enlightened beings. It's not that they're not there. But it so happened there are more men seen, because it's about men are the people who are more active. They write about it. Talking about ancient time, not now. In those days, it was also not so easy for a woman to go alone out into the mountains, fend for herself, and it was not easy. Today it has changed, so we are hoping that there are more enlightened beings coming up. Don't say there are no enlightened beings. All the great beings, if you look at all the There are women saints in the Christian background. There are great yoginis in our Indian system. One of the great teachers of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was Bhairavi Brahmani, who he said was one of the greatest Tantra teachers he knew, of the Vaishnava Tantras. If you go back to the Upanishads, there is Gargi, the great rishi, challenging Yajnavalkya and saying, answer this question or your head will fall off. Not that there aren't aware, but they preferred probably to keep quiet. And I'm sure even now there are enlightened ladies. Enlightenment is not gender-based. Due to certain historical conditions and compulsions, it so happens that we see less. But I don't believe this. You think in a country where the supreme energy is worshipped as the Divine Mother, there can't be enlightened beings? So, don't have any doubts on this. For all you know, your wife might be a very enlightened being. Yeah, why not? You be doing your Kriya, so one day you wake up because you're doing it and say, hey, you know what, I am that, go to sleep. Tattvamasi. How to lose the fear of losing one's loved ones. Also, the loved ones are suffering from illness. How can we still maintain the calmness? It's not easy to love, to lose the fear of losing your loved ones. It's easy to say, but it's not easy to do. I understand this. But in the case of a yogi who does not look at the human unit as just the body, but sees something else. Of course, you don't want to lose somebody, but if you lose, because human life is such that sometime or the other you're going to lose your loved ones, right? Who can say no to this? Anytime. Sometime or the other, if not now, when they grow old, it happens. But then the yogi who sees that the body is dead, but there's some essence in it which is not dying, which is always there. It may not be with you. If you love that person, you should allow that essence to be free and not hold on. And yet, knowing this, since we are human beings, and if we are kind human beings, we still would feel sorry if someone whom you love goes away. Even to quote a case, well-known case, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was a greatly realized, evolved soul. When his nephew died, a small boy, he said that he was sitting and watching the death, and he felt that it was as if someone was removing the pillow from the pillowcase. He actually felt it. He saw it happening. So he was quite calm. But when the body was taken for cremation, he burst into tears. So this can happen to a person like that, can happen to anybody. But there's a difference. You know ultimately that there is no death and there is no birth for the soul. So if you have not that experience, then you should think of others who had that experience and try to understand. And also this about suffering from illness. It's not easy to maintain look, if you're not calm, you cannot help those who are suffering from illness. Then you also become ill. Consider it as a sacrifice that I need to maintain my calmness, because otherwise I cannot help the other person who is suffering. It may not be your own relative, it could be anybody. You know of cases of people who suffered themselves but helped others. So when that happens, then the mind undergoes a change, and then it's no longer the same angle to which you look at things. Our enlightenment, in quotes, Nirvana, in quotes, Moksha, in quotes, all the same. As per the Buddhists, when someone attains Nirvana, they do not appear again. Is it the same for Moksha? First, let's understand these words. I think we will shoot our... Okay. We'll overshoot our time limit, maybe. After all, Nirvana, what time? Timelessness. Okay. There's somebody who used to come very late all the time for Vedantic classes. So they said, why do you come in the wrong time? Is there time? So, enlightenment. What does enlightenment mean? What does moksha mean? What does nirvana mean? Before we know that, then we won't know if they are the same. Moksha is a Vedantic term used for someone who has, through understanding, meditation and various other factors, including sadhana, becomes free of the understanding, becomes free of the belief that he is only the body and that his life and happiness is dependent on the sense organs and the world, and therefore not dependent on all these things, he becomes free. This is moksha according to Vedanta. Freedom is the word, moksha. This is a tendency that every one of us has for moksha, of course. We all want to be free. Right? Even though we make a semblance of being dependent, we actually deep down want to be free. The little child wants to be free. Everybody wants. When you are sick and there's pain, you want to be free. There's a built-in tendency to be free. Now that happens only when one realizes that one is not the little personality one thought one was, and not the body, but something incorporeal which is not different from the essence of the universe, which is consciousness, according to Vedanta. Such a person who has understood and realized this is enlightened and has attained moksha. No more dependent on anything. So nirvana, according to the Buddhists, the word means the putting off of all the lamps, all the flames, which means all the flames of desire and anger and everything has been put off. The mind is in a very stable, quiet condition. When that happens, it also means moksha. So the word nirvana is not different from moksha that way, because one is free from all negativity is gone from that person and one is free. A person who has attained nirvana is called an arahant, person who has attained a moksha is called a Vedantin or a yogi. Although yogi uses different word, which is we discussed yesterday. Kaivalya. When you say the word Kaivalya, it means you understand, you grasp this understanding, this fact, that there is only one, there are no many. Kevalam, one. And then you're free. The problem is when there are two. Okay. Now, as per Buddhism, someone attains Nirvana, they do not appear again. Is it the same for moksha? I have to tell you this. When you say Buddhism and Nirvana and such terms, you should make a good study of Buddhist teachings. There are two schools of Buddhism, basically. And there are also many other sub-schools of Buddhism. The Buddhist basic teaching is that when Buddha was asked, "What are you teaching?" he said, "Freedom from sorrow for all mankind." And he added by saying, "Desire is the root of all sorrow." So, the perfected person in the Buddhist terminology is called an arahant. Even the Jains believe that a perfect person is an arahant. Namo arahantanam. So, such a perfect person called an arahant has no necessity to come back into the earth in any other birth or form. No necessity. Because he has attained and realized freedom. Why would he come back? But there are instances of great arahants who are not satisfied with experiencing nirvana for themselves. They put one leg on the other side of the border. What the Buddhists call the paragati. They put one leg over there. One leg is about to be put also there. When they look back and say, "Oh, so many people suffering because they haven't understood what is freedom." And they also believe that there are so many births for human beings. At some birth or the other, any one of these beings could have been my mother. Shouldn't I help at least one being to come across and go with me across the border into the state of nirvana, so they voluntarily come back. Now this is called the compassionate coming back. Such arahants, according to Vajrayana Buddhism, are called bodhisattvas. So to your question, will you come back? Normally when you are free, you don't come back. But there are people who might choose to come back if they want. It's up to them. Even if they come back, they are free. Free beings. They're not stuck. So they help others to move forward. It's possible. Sorry, sir, madam, whoever wrote that. In one of your interviews, you mentioned a Kriya that one can do to leave the human body. Do you teach this Kriya? How many want to leave this body? Huh? How many want to leave this body? What I said was that in yogic techniques, not only this Kriya, in the science of yoga, there's a technique by which when the yogi feels that he has done his work, there's nothing more to be done as of now here, he decides, and also the body is getting a little old and weak and there's no point in rejuvenating it. We've done all our work. So it's time to go. Say goodbye. So there is a technique by which one sits down and actually leaves the body. That's what I meant. But it's not to be taught like that. Yeah. It's basically, Babaji used to call it spiritual suicide. You can go off. Anyway, don't worry too much about that. Idea should be to go off even while you're alive and come back. Maybe by the practice of Kriya you might one day float off and come back. My friend wants to know who is Shiva. My friend, have you seen Shiva? And my friend's name is Vikas. Shiva or Shivam is the word used for the Supreme Being. The Vedantin calls it the Supreme Brahman. The Shaivites call it Supreme Shiva, Paramashiva. Is the ultimate Supreme Being called Shivam, usually represented not by a picture or an image, but by a linga, which means a symbol. This is the meaning of Shiva. And that Shivam is also inside you. It is of the form of consciousness and bliss, about which the Adi Shankara sang the Nirvana Shataka. Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham, Shivoham. I am of the nature of bliss and consciousness. I am Shivam, I am Shivam. The word Shivam also means auspiciousness, fragrance, and so on. But in the Puranas, Shiva Puranas, this force called Shivam is represented as Rudra, one of the destroyers of the universe, and therefore given a shape and a form and so on. But the ultimate Shivam, also according to Kashmir Shaivism, is that Supreme Being who resides in Kailash, for the yogis here, or in the heart here. This is the Shiva. So if you say, have you seen Shiva? Shiva is the one who sees everything. I don't see Shiva, but Shiva sees everything. And therefore if he is in your heart, then you are seeing everything, you are Shivam. And the normal mantra used for Shiva is Om Namah Shivaya, which means Om Nama, I bow down to that Supreme Being, Shivam. So please tell your friend Vikas. I said so. How many people are going back? Brisbane, Sydney? Anyway, I have to go. This is a very practical, very simplistic question, but actually many people have this question, but they don't ask. They think that you might be ridiculed or something. Nothing to be ridiculed. Dear Guruji, is financial freedom required before starting the spiritual journey? Unfortunately, if you wait for financial freedom to start the spiritual journey, it's a never-ending wait. Never-ending wait. So if you go on your spiritual journey, you're also trying to be financially free. Probably things fall in place. Now financial freedom again has many layers, many definitions. Some people are financially free with 10 rupees in their pockets. Some are financially not free even when they have own jets, jet planes. So it's an attitude of the mind. Of course you have to have. In this world, you cannot expect to live without money, without finance. I understand that. But the real freedom is that which comes in the mind when one is satisfied, free. I keep meeting people who have their own private jets, who can pull down governments if they want. But there is no satisfaction, there is no peace of mind. So what financial stability do we seek, that we are trying to find? So start your spiritual journey now, don't wait. Look after, try to be financially free, do what you can about that. But keep that as your priority. Because even if you go there, there is no satisfaction. It doesn't mean you should wear a cowpin and walk around, please. It's not possible. You know what's a cowpin? A loincloth. Listening to enchanting music. Will it be a form of meditation? I experience total concentration when listening to my favorite music. This is what I told somebody just now. The mind is distracted. I said, do you feel distracted when you listen to beautiful music which you love to listen? So certainly it's a legitimate way of meditation. Play some beautiful music or some lovely devotional songs. Could be Indian, Eastern, Western, it doesn't matter. Listen to it. It's a great form of meditation. At least it's an adjunct to meditation. Now I'm going to stop with this question. As a married man, how do we are entirely fruitful for God and our selfish desires? How can we have a child for God and not for our ego self? A little complicated. I'm a married man. Got the answer? Turn on your Wi-Fi connection. And the rest shall be added unto you. What he means, this person, is that I'm a married man, so is it possible to live entirely selflessly? Other than looking after ourselves. Look, if you want to lead a spiritual life, while you live in this world, you should also give some attention to the inner and the spiritual. And gradually, when you really begin to enjoy the inner, the outer will not be so important for you. It can't be done suddenly. It's not easy. If you try to do it fast, you will go back in this double speed to the same situation. It has to be done gradually. Now, to have a child for God and for is something I don't understand really. I can tell you a story of someone who probably had a saintly child and what they did. This I could tell you, but I don't know exactly what this is. There was a very orthodox family, Brahmin family in Andhra Pradesh, who the husband was such a scholar and such a deep study of Vedanta, and his daily rituals and meditation and so on. They were very young, it's a young couple, and the wife was a very nice lady. She looked after all her work and loved her husband, he loved her. But they didn't have for 3 years of married life any time to have a child. They were engaged in their own action. So one day the wife confronted the husband and said, "You are so familiar with the Shastras. Now according to the Shastras, a marriage is fully consummated only when you have a child. I don't think this will ever happen to us. So is ours an incomplete marriage? Is ours an incomplete marriage? According to the Shastras." So he said, I'm afraid of bringing out a child into this world who might turn out to be a terrible person, suppose. So the wife said, "Is there any solution for this?" He said, "Yes. You know that I love you very much. So I can offer a solution for this. I'm going to give you a mantra." Well, it so happened that it was Rama mantra, Taraka mantra, because they were devotees of the deity Rama. So he gave her the mantra. And he said, when you say I've really attained the realization of the mantra, it means that you chant the mantra so much that when you go to sleep, the last thing on your mind will be this mantra. And when you dream, you will be chanting also in your dreams. And when you wake up, this will be the first mantra that occurs to you, your mind. When you have attained that state, then perhaps if you have a child, then it might be a great yogi. Who knows? So he gave her the mantra. So she chanted the mantra. After 1 year, she said, "I think this is possible." Because it's always in my mind, the chanting. And when I go to sleep, that's the last thing in my mind. And when I dream, I see myself chanting it. And when I imagine the dedication. And when I wake up, this is the first mantra that occurs to me in my mind. This I think now I have attained. So he said, "Let's have a child." So with great affection, they had a child. And that child turned out to be the great yogi, Vedantin, devotee, bhakta, Sadashiva Brahmendra. Sadashiva Brahmendra was a naked saint who used to walk around South India near Pudukkottai. He never spoke because at one time he had become such an expert in Vedantic discussions that he was sent to the Maharaja of Mysore's palace and became the Asthana Vidwan. That means the teacher in the court. And he used to defeat regularly anybody in arguments. He also studied the Nyaya Shastras, which is the science of discussions. And whenever he met a scholar, he would say, "Come, let's engage in a discussion and defeat them." So one person who had gone visiting the palace went back to meet his guru, this man's guru, Sadashiva Brahmendra's guru. He asked him, "How is my disciple? What's he doing these days?" He says he's doing very well. The only thing is his ego has become so big because his only intention now is to defeat people in arguments. He's doing this all the time. So he said, "Go there, go back and send him here." So he went there and sent him back. So he came. He said, "Oh, so now your ego has grown so much. Your tongue wags constantly." He realized, he said, "Yes. What should I do?" I said, "Shut up. Don't talk ever." He stopped talking. He was a silent person. They say that he used to sit down and meditate on the banks of the river Kaveri in the south. And the Kaveri would flood, but he was in Samadhi, so he wouldn't know. After the floods have receded, when workers went to dig and take the shore apart, suddenly the spade would hit something and the blood would come and there's somebody here. They'll clean, take out the mud. It's a human being, pour some water. He used to get up and say, and go away. Such a great being was born. So maybe that's possible too, who knows? And Sadashiva Brahmendra wrote many beautiful lyrics for many of the so-called classical Carnatic songs, most famous being Pibare Rama Rasa. Drink the rasa, the enjoying essence of Rama. And he passed away also. He sat down and said, I'm going. He said, no, spiritual suicide. He sat down and said, okay, bye. Enough. I was going to stop by saying, we have heard a nice story. Can we stop it here in peace?
Since you touched the song, can you sing that?
I can You can find it on YouTube. Pibare Rama Rasa. So, it's good to read the lives of some of these great people. They inspire you to move forward. So, thank you. Sorry I can't answer all the questions.